Hey there. Well, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to graft this tree. This is an NC1. It was grafted right about in here. I've got a lot of NC1s on the property, and I ended up with a lot of scion. And this one right here, because of its size, I felt to be a good candidate. You see all the leaves are pushing. It has a couple flowers in it. I transplanted this tree last year, and it had some stress issues, but you can see it's doing very well. For the size, it's only about 3 foot tall and has flowers in it, and the stems are extremely thick. So it's basically a healthy tree. What I'm going to do is I'm going to graft this tree over to another variety, and the variety I'm going to use is chiffon. Let me go ahead and get this cut down out of the way. Find where I want to put it. Now I'm using a coping saw and do a little bit of a backside cut, and the coping saw is not going to tear it up as much. Give me just a sec. Looks very good on the inside. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this razor blade and I'm going to clean that up a little bit. It's going to take a little bit of time, but clean it up nonetheless. And the graft I'm going to use is an inlay. I've used it time and time again, and it's worked out well for me. Now, I hope this turns out, because I'm doing a close-up of what it is I'm doing. There. Everything's been sterilized, and as you can see, I got a little bit of a slope moving away from me, and that's what I want. So I'm going to set this back down where it is. I got my bands, I got my parafilm, and the scion. As you can see, the scion is pretty good in size and diameter. I've already got the tag made for it. The scion is chiffon. It's a Jerry Lehman variety. Now, whenever you're doing a bark inlay or an inlay graft, you want to kind of roughly around 1/3 the size of the rootstock. And as I'm looking, I'm about 1/3, so we're at the right size. And we're going to use 2 buds on this, and very healthy looking scion. The scion came from Terry Costello, by the way, and I really like the scion. Down here I'm going to go ahead and cut off, because I like the looks of this bud and this bud even better. Let me get my shears. Everything's been sterilized. Yeah, looks real good. Set that back down there for a minute. Put this away in here. And get my grafting knife out. And like I said, we got a slope, so I want to come on this back side. I want water runoff, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently cut down into the bark, just like that. And then I'm going to look, and I think my best bet, from what I can see, is, well, I'm going to have to try to finagle this a little bit. I'm taking the back side of the grafting knife where the for like used for chip bud, and I'm opening up the bark so it will receive the scion. Very good looking scenario there. Now I'm going to leave that knife there because I want to leave it open and also keep the air from drying that out real fast. Now it's time to get the scion ready to do what I wanted to do. I got another grafting knife here, and what I want to do is whenever I do this wedge cut, I want to cut this in such a way I have a bud here, a bud here, and a bud here. I'm going to go ahead and use all 3 buds. I normally only use 2, but I'm going to go ahead and use all 3 buds. But what I want to do is I want to send a bud crosswards, and the reason being is I want that to grow out and bring balance back towards the tree, because this tree is going to be out of balance if I don't. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and make my cut. I'm going to try and make it nice and long. And we're going to try to thin that down just a hair. Just like that. And then I'm going to chip on the back side. Just like that. A little bit of a chip. But since I'm looking at the outer bark, on the inside of the bark, that's cambium. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to shave the outer edge of the bark. Because I want that cambium to make contact with what it is I'm doing. You can see the green right there. That's what I'm after. I want that green, and I'm gently doing it. I'm not digging into it. Just that outer layer of bark I'm peeling out of the way to get down to the green. There. Let me set this down. It's something I do want to do. Got a little bit of a jagged edge there. Let's straighten that out a little bit. Nice and straight. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert it into this area right here. Well, actually, let me get some parafilm. And cover this up, because if I put it in there and then I try to wrap it up, I'm rocking this back and forth. Once I put it in there, I want it to stay put. Set that down. I've already got parafilm at the top of the stick, and I'm going to bring it down. I went just above that bud, And now I'm going to cover that bud, one layer, and I'm going to come under that bud, and I'm going to keep twisting downward, pulling on the parafilm as I do because it's stretching it. I want it to stretch. And then there's that last bud, come up over top of it. Above the bud, that is. And now I'm going to cover the bud, one thin layer. There we go. Now, let's get this knife out of the way and see if we can't say hello to it. You notice I'm trying hard not to touch the area on that back side that I had cut. There. Now what I'm going to do is I got rubber bands just for this. Get that inside there a little bit further. There we go. Now I got different rubber bands here. Somebody shared these rubber bands with me. And this one right here is a heavier gauge rubber band. I can really tighten down on that. Because I want this to be a tight fit. And I'm pulling on the rubber band as I go. And I'm going to come right back up it. So I went down to where the cut is. Now I'm going to work my way back upwards as I'm pulling on that rubber band, because the more I wrap around that area, the tighter it's going to squeeze. And that's squeezing pretty tight. This is a type graft I've used time and time again, and I've had really good luck with it. It works. It does a good job. And we'll get this tied off. I'm going to do this differently than what I normally do because it's such a heavy gauge rubber band. There we have it. She's tied off. She's tight. Now then, ouch. Excuse me. Getting old is for the birds. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover everything up with parafilm. And I'm going to start it off with a light parafilm, just because it stretches and it's more willing to conform. And what we want to do is we want to cover this top. and I'm going to come up to the scion, bring it tight around the scion, and then I'm going to come under it, and I'm going to wrap downwards. Making sure that we've got good coverage. It's covered up pretty good. Now I have another scion, or another parafilm here. It's thicker. It's not as thin and stretchy as that one is, and it's getting old. I've had it for a while. Probably ain't even no good, but we'll see. There we go. That's very, very stiff comparatively speaking. Now this one right here, I'm going to stretch a little bit before I start using it, because like I said, it's not as friendly on the stretching part as what I just used. Got a little bit more there than what I needed. I'll snap that off, throw it back in there. Now, let's say hello to it once again. The reason why I'm doing this is I want to keep as much moisture in here for as long as I possibly can. And in order to do that, we got to get good coverage on it. Nice coverage. Now only time will tell, and keep our fingers crossed that this takes. And what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to go ahead and put the tag on here, and I want the tag to slide down and all the way around to the bottom. And the reason being is I'll come out here with a small cage, put over top of it to protect it from critters. Groundhogs like to nip on these things. Man, the mosquitoes are bad out here. Let me get this stuff put back away real quick, because I got another one to do. And this one right here is a chiffon. Now, with this graft right here, what I can do is I can come back here with a rod, come straight up, brace it up, keep it from being knocked over by the wind. That's a good way to lose a graft on windy days. And but for the most part, because there's only one slit, that bark hangs on pretty good. And because we stayed within that 1/3 range, when this takes off, it'll start growing around here pretty fast. And because this is all kept moist, the cambium that's on the edge right here will also adhere to the cambium of the scion wrapping itself around there. It'll end up on the back side right here looking like a little belly button. But in time, that'll continue to grow, and that'll go away and you won't even see it. I've used this graft quite a few times, and I'm getting ready to do another one right there. This one right here is chiffon, the other one's going to be canary. Y'all have a good one.